We want to bring in Carson Carpenter now. Carson has worked with Charlie Kirk, has worked for them on many different live events, attended several campus events with Charlie. Carson joined us on Election Day or on Inauguration Day live outside of Washington, D.C. at the arena there, cataloging the excitement of the election of President Trump with a lot of young people, a lot of youth. Carson, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I wish it could be for better circumstances today.
Right. I mean, before we get into some detail, I want to really set the stage what your experience is like on some of these campus events, but maybe if you just want to tell us your initial thoughts when you learned about Charlie's passing.
Yeah, I mean, just travesty, honestly. It was my friend who had texted me and then another friend who had called me right after. And I thought it was President Trump who got assassinated at first, but then I found out it was Charlie Kirk, and it was someone who I'd worked for. And it was just truly heartbreaking. And I just thought of what those kids had to witness in Utah, seeing that live in person in front of them. And I'm just praying for them and their mental health right now. And to just see that type of event unfold in 2025 in our beautiful democracy would be something our founding fathers would just not be able to comprehend, honestly.
Let's talk about these events. You've worked with Charlie on a lot of these campus events. I think a lot of us were shocked that security was almost non-existent. There's a small security detail that Charlie had personal security. In a lot of these events, of course, states across the country, it's required under state law to have a staged ambulance on site where you could actually administer some sort of help. Instead, they had to throw him in the back of an SUV.
Okay, now some of these details I am just finding out, and it's concerning that these standard practices weren't being observed. Was it an organizational issue from Turning Point, or were there restrictions from them being able to do that?
No ambulance. First responders, it seemed like, weren't there as part of this event to be able to save his life. Is that common at these events, the type of security and maybe like lack of emergency personnel that would be at something like this?
Yeah, it's a strange circumstance of what went on, especially about the event space. It was surrounded by buildings in a horseshoe fashion. And for a lot of these events, Charlie will have his own security detail around him, obviously. And then it is campus police, the campus police department, that is supposed to take the rest of the perimeter. And for an event like that, there was probably close to 2,000 to 4,000 people there. And that perimeter would have been impossible to extend out to the 200 yards of where the shooter was on the building. And the campus police would usually be about 50 yards to 75 yards out for a perimeter. But something like this would have been super hard for them to secure. And at a lot of other campus events, there wouldn't be surrounded buildings like that in a courtyard. And at ASU, it was never like that. It was never set up like that, where there were rooftops that were exposed around Charlie and his tent. It was always in a wide open walkway, and there would be a building right next to him that they would be able to secure pretty easily. But to see something like that went down, definitely will have to be investigated into about the security failure that happened.
So what you're saying is that this was an unusual layout, which begs the question, somebody knew that. Because if his other events had better security, and police had better access to securing him, somebody knew that this was the weak point. Because I've looked through the schedule of the tour. He was scheduled to come to Colorado next, moving on to Virginia and other places. So someone had to know the layout of this one as a weak spot. That's sort of what that tells me. Maybe you can react to that?
So this is a strange revelation that I'm finding out right now, because there have been reports that Charlie was concerned for his own safety, and it wasn't an old report. It wasn't a new thing, a new observation that there were people who wanted to do him harm. There were threats regularly, and that is why he had his own private security. And this is the thing that we constantly see with conservative voices. Conservative voices pay way more for private security than liberal voices. And there's something to say about that. And so when we hear Democrats and left-wing media claim that the violence is coming more from the right. Why is it that the right needs more security from the left? That's something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was the university that had the most knowledge about where the event was going to be, obviously, because it was hosted on their campus. And a lot of times for these events with this many people, they have to just be complicit about where this event space will be happening, right? A lot of times universities won't do it in other areas. Maybe they didn't do it in another area because it was a political event. They maybe didn't want it inside, but Charlie loved being outside with the students and it was beautiful weather up there. So we don't know the speculation behind that, but I would say that for this type of setup, it was unusual and it was probably provided to them by the university. And I suspect that potentially maybe the Turning Point chapter at that university might have known where the event was going to be. And it was interesting that they, put out the schedule months in advance, and they've done that before. But it begs the question, who knew about where the event was going to be held and in what fashion it was going to be for a shooter to get up on a roof 200 yards away? I believe it was on a hotel roof, or it might have been a university building roof. I don't know for sure. It just really begs the question between campus security, university officials, and that Turning Point chapter there of who knew about how the event space was going to be organized.
Yeah.
At these events, it seems like students could sort of just come and go. I mean, we played the video a few moments ago of these individuals before the shooting just pointing up to the rooftop, and they weren't seemingly like at the event. They were kind of like adjacent to it, or maybe they were making their way to the event, just kind of pointing at the rooftop, commenting about a person on the roof. So there's no sort of like metal detection. It's not like going to a baseball game or something where people are wanding you, right? I mean, you can just kind of wander around campus and, oh, Charlie Kirk is speaking, and I'll just walk up there.
It's shocking that the same thing happened just before before the attempted assassination of President Trump. We had people pointing up on the roof, the sloped roof, saying there's someone up there, and nothing happened until the shots happened. Is this the way security should be handled for prominent conservatives? We haven't heard one situation where a liberal or left-leaning politician or figure has had these kinds of incidents at their events. But we do see them for conservatives. And why is it that law enforcement isn't up to task to do what is necessary to protect them?
That how that's normally laid out?
Absolutely. And outside, it would be impossible to do a metal detector system, I'm sure, as you're aware. And it's very interesting in some of the video that is coming out now. It's an angle from Charlie's left that shows the brutal sight. But on the other side of him, it looks like there are students that are wearing a white shirt and a white hat that are making some type of signs. There's someone that's adjusting his hat like this, but he's not pulling it down or moving it. It was almost like a baseball sign, as you can see right there. And then the white shirt in the background does this motion right before Charlie is shot, which almost looks like an indicator for the shooter.
All right. So this video must have come out a couple of days after the incident, and it's been proven that those were people who were part of Charlie's private security, and they are former military. And these are hand signs that they give to other team members to signal them if there is something to watch or something to look at, and these are simply military signs. Now, there have been people who claim that these are signs to the sniper to take the shot, but it's been debunked essentially.
To go ahead and take the kill shot, because this looks like a very orchestrated and well out planned hit on Charlie Kirk. And as you can see on the video, it just looks very suspect. And it looks like there might be something more to this of coordination with those individuals.
Yeah, looks like Dexter.
I was just about to ask you about those guys, so I'm glad you brought that up. In your experience with Charlie, because it looks like one of the individuals might have been a part of his security detail. Did you know these individuals? How long did the security detail, the 6 individuals that carried Charlie to the SUV after he was shot? Were they with him for a long time? Do you know any information about his security detail, or those people might be behind him?
So the guy in the black shirt is always with Charlie. He's like his right-hand man when it comes to securing Charlie in the tent. But I had never seen this person with the white hat before at any other events. It might be a student that goes to Utah Valley University. He was videoing, and we still haven't seen the video from that angle on his phone, which kind of begs the question, is this person staying incognito? And then I've seen another angle of the.
I mean, but Carson, hold on.
What he just said was important. The guy giving the hand signals is his main guy.
No. It's the guy with the black shirt.
Black shirt is his main guy, but that black shirt guy does give some kind of strange signals. So is it possible?
Oh, as well.
He does.
Yeah.
So if that is his closest guy, what were those signals? Did he have a fly on him? Did somebody ask what that was about?
I know it's a very interesting question. I'm sure the police are looking into it right now. Hopefully they're analyzing this video and those individuals. I believe it might be another sign for some type of security, but it's really interesting that those signs that he's making is also coinciding with what's going on with those two other white shirts in the background. It's just all very interesting.
I just want to keep this video up if you can, Philip, because this is inside of that security gate. You know, there's a gate around where you have his security in a black shirt, and then you have this individual in a white shirt making these weird hand gestures behind the security gate, almost like adjacent, right next to his security guard. So if we don't know who this guy is, how in the world?
You know, there's a lot of speculating when it comes to running forensics after the fact. And there are coincidences and there are things that you just don't know. So we just have to keep watching what the investigation by the FBI reveals. Of course, there are a lot of people out there who don't trust the FBI as a whole, whether they are under Trump or under a different president. The institution appears to be compromised to a lot of people.
Is he right behind Charlie Kirk inside of a fenced area? Obviously, we don't have the answers to that, but this is just one of the mysteries we're going to continue to look into.
May I ask a question? At the events that you've gone to that are in this fashion, was he scared? I'm sure he was threatened all the time. Was it just something he lived with?
So when he came to Arizona State University, we were helping him throw out hats and him to go talk with the students. And it was almost like a happy place for Charlie to be behind the tent and then out walking with the crowd. He was just exceptionally happy to be there and interact with the students. And he's someone who always just came with a smile, right? This was his most comfortable place out of any place that he could be. And when we'd walk out into the crowd with people, he would be getting mobbed by people asking to take his picture, saying he's a huge inspiration to them. And one time I was in the crowd with him and he leaned down to me and he said, "Isn't this awesome?" and just had the biggest grin on his face. So I think absolutely he knew the risk about doing these style of events, but I think for his message to resonate with especially the younger generation and have that accessibility to him, he knew it was necessary.
Well, that's all we can take for this video. Let me know what you think of their feedback on everything that's taken place so far. And of course, the speculations about the hand signals have already been debunked. But my concern is that they knew that he was threatened, they knew his life was at risk, and they knew that the arrangement, the configuration of the event grounds wasn't safe for Charlie. Why did they go ahead? Why didn't the school secure the buildings like they should have? Of course, there were difficulties, and of course, Charlie isn't the president of the United States. But now, this is Monday morning quarterbacking, just looking at something that went wrong and saying, what if? we can't change the past, but maybe we can learn from it. And one of the things that we could learn from is the fact that, look, if you're a conservative voice out there, you need to invest more in security. You need to be more careful when you're out and about doing your thing. And of course, we don't see the leftists fearing for their lives. They claim to fear for their lives. They signal to everyone that they are afraid for their lives since Charlie Kirk was attacked. But what was the aftermath? Vigils and prayer and a revival at his memorial. And yet they still feel threatened by a revival. Well, let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you've stuck around this long, I consider you a super fan. Please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video. Donate to the channel by sending a super thank or by joining the membership by using the link in the video description or in the pinned comment. And I'll see you on the next one. God bless you.